My entire incentive in getting to the real estate business had nothing to do with real estate or architecture. It was just about how do I make $2,000 a month? How do I pay my rent, food, other incidentals, and how do I not move home without being stuck to a survival job?
Ryan is the founder and CEO of Serhant Technologies, a top real estate broker, content creator. We were very, very excited to have you on the podcast.
And we had to start working as soon as we understood what the value of a dollar was, which was when I was 8.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're here on the Billionaire Hour. It's great to have you, Ryan. Thank you for letting us borrow your amazing space.
Oh, no problem.
Ryan is the founder and CEO of Serhant Technologies, a top real estate broker, content creator, podcast host in the past.
Podcast I've ever done.
Amazing.
You started it the right way. Wow.
It's great to be. We're very, very excited to have you on the podcast. Now, I know you very, very much. Our audience may be meeting you for the first time. So if you want to give us a very general, where you're from, how you got here.
Super fast. I am 40 years old. I was born in Houston, Texas on a mattress. I grew up outside Boston. I was only good at theater, tried every single sport, terrible at all of them. Went to college for theater, graduated in 2006, came to New York City with like 20 grand to make it as an actor, just to see, because I'd rather regret the things I did than the things I never tried, and I didn't want to do it later. Totally failed, hard fail. But my budget was like $2,000 a month to afford to live in New York City. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd have to move home, and I didn't want to do that. And a friend said, get your real estate license. It's just like theater. Meet people on it's improv, right? Yeah. That's what you do. And so I got my license the summer of 2008. My first day was the day Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, which was fine by me because I had no money. Everyone got out of the business, and I was able to ride that kind of like bottom of the curve all the way back up. Most people know me from $1 Million Listing New York, a TV show I did for 10 years on a channel called Bravo, and a lot of other spin-off shows that we did. I built the #1 residential real estate sales team in the country as of 2016, and then we maintained that for a couple years until COVID hit. And I said, you know what, I'm going to start my own company. We did that, pitched a new show to Netflix called House of Serhant. They bought it. We turned it into what is now known as Owning Manhattan. That came out this year. I have a wife, 1 daughter. She's 5.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's it. Done.
So growing up in Texas,
yes.
What was that like?
I don't really remember. We moved when I was 5. I remember it being hot. Mm-hmm. Like I have a distinct memory of being a little kid in the back of the car with my dad and it being so hot. He's like, well, that's why the air conditioning is so cold, because you have to learn how to save it up. And I was like, save what up? And it's just one of those core weird memories you have a little kid, is that every interior building in Texas, same thing in Florida, are so cold because the AC. I was like, I don't know if I have that superpower to save up cold so that when I go outside when it's hot, I could be like, and that's what I remember from Texas. We mostly then grew up outside Long Island. We bounced around a lot. Mm-hmm. Bounced around Long Island and then the North Shore of Boston, and that's where I went to high school, and then upstate New York. And then my parents went from, Massachusetts to New Hampshire to Colorado to Arizona to now Florida.
So growing up in Texas, I've asked for a lot of different people, where you grew up imparts a lot into who you are. Yeah. So what kind of qualities does someone get growing up in Texas that someone growing up in like LA or New York wouldn't get?
I don't know if I would connect my grow up to a specific place. I'm a direct product of my parents. Mm-hmm. Like I believe very strongly in the difference between nature and nurture. Yeah. Like I didn't grow up in Texas so much where I have an accent and I played in piles of dirt, with a rattlesnake out back and all that stuff. I also didn't grow up so much in Boston that I'm like sitting here rolling my eyes at from Revere, doing that thing. But I went to school with all those kids. Mm-hmm. My parents were disciplinarians. Our house, we had 3 sisters, 2 brothers, was a meritocracy. Even to this day, mm-hmm. All of us still call my dad on Sundays to give him a rundown of the week. It is just like something we have to do. Sometimes I forget. Yeah. But like same thing, every single day growing up through high school. And then when I got to college, it became a weekly routine. Every day, what'd you do in school today? What'd you learn? And it was so awful and annoying and terrible. Mm-hmm. And I hated it. Their favorite word was no. And we had to start working as soon as we understood what the value of a dollar was, which mm-hmm. was when I was 8. Wow. And that's that's how I was raised. You know, it had nothing to do
Very
with
like
Texas.
firm childhood. That's interesting. Like, you know, my mom came to America when she was 16. She had my sister when she was 16.
Yeah.
And she came here with no money. And as a kid, ever since I was like 4, I knew what like a 401k was. And I knew the value of dollar. When in California, they made you pay for bags. The largest fights of my childhood was when I had to buy a 10-cent bag at Target. My mom was very, very upset. And I think growing up in that kind of like firm household where you appreciate the value of money gives you kind of that leg up of understanding how the world works from a very young age. Would you attribute a lot of kind of your drive to that upbringing?
Yes. My parents didn't talk to me as much about money as I would have liked. That's something I'm excited to talk to my daughter and hopefully future kids about and have them be far more business savvy. I think, you know, you're 23, I'm 40. You know, dude, my dad, like, he had his first kid when he was 19 years old. You know, he had to put himself through school. He lost his mom to a staph infection when he was 16 years old. His older brother was killed in a car accident. Like my parents and then his parents, his dad, my grandfather, who died now, but had polio, like went through the Great Depression. Like our generations of parents went through like real hardship. The most hardship you and I have had in the last month is TikTok went down for 15 hours.
That's terrible. That was horrible.
Brutal, bro. Brutal. This whole side is like, man, this is what World War must have been like, you know? And so like they just raised me like under the idea that like you got to figure out how to work and work hard because hard work trumps talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Definitely.
And everything else can be a bonus. You just have to try as hard as you can all day long. So yeah, like that was definitely ingrained in me. And it's a huge part of how I work today. Like I wish I could be more of a human being than a human doing, but I'm 100% a human doing and I just own it. So
that drive, I mean, that pushed you into real estate. How did you get into real estate? I guess, did you always want to be a real estate agent or did you decide one day, I'm going to be the best real estate broker out there?
No, man. A friend that I went to college with told me to get into real estate, get my real estate license, not to be a career realtor, but he was like, get your real estate license. You click on a button for 45 hours, and then you can help people rent apartments. If you find someone an apartment for $4,000 a month, the commission will be $4,000. You'll split it with the house, the brokerage company you're at. You'll make $2,000. And you could help someone find an apartment in the morning and somebody find an apartment in the afternoon if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Make your own hours and then go to your auditions and do all your other things. And that's my entire incentive in getting to the real estate business had nothing to do with real estate or architecture. It was just about how do I make $2,000 a month? How do I pay my rent, food, other incidentals, and how do I not move home without being stuck to a survival job? You know, that's because I saw people who were at that time 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old who had a survival job. Like they were waiting tables, they were temping something, and then they did it for 20 years because you get used to paying your bills.
Yeah.
And that comfort kills dreams more than anything.
So having that fire under your butt pushed you and kind of gave you that motivation when you started in real estate?
Yeah, same thing for $1 Million Listing. When I was cast on $1 Million Listing, it was like, I'm going to have a metaphorical shotgun to the face on international television, and now I can't mess it up. Yeah, I think like most of us, we are almost more motivated by the fear of embarrassment than we are the fear of failure anymore.
Definitely.
Is like, we could fail here and I'll just go do another business, you know? It's not like it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago.
So your first real estate sale, what was that like? I feel like everyone remembers their first sale.
Yeah. 3 Hanover Square, which is in the lower Manhattan co-op building. Okay. Apartment 10L is in Larry, $369,000 in early 2009. Wow. Yeah, March 2009. It was a studio, but high ceilings. I had to paint it, had to replace the microwave, like standard stuff. Terrible, but that helped me meet a client that helped me start doing deals in Long Island City and Queens. And so I did most of my sales at the beginning in Queens because I was nobody. Like no one would hire me to sell a home in Manhattan, and all of my clients came from Craigslist or Starbucks.
Okay. So you would go to Starbucks and just introduce yourself to every single person there?
No, not every single person. I'm not crazy. Only pretty pregnant women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why pretty pregnant women?
Because they like compliments, and the way you meet a client is you follow the 2 C's, which I knew early on from improv, which was you disarm someone and build trust with a quick compliment, right? Like, nice watch, man. Where did you get it? Solid shirt. Did you iron it or press it here? Do you have to, how'd you go through, nice haircut, stuff like that. And then you find something in common. And when you're in Starbucks, you have something in common, whether, hey, what are you getting, which is awkward. Yeah. But pregnant women need more space. I help people find more space, right? And some people would not talk to me. Some people were like, that's weird. But a handful of those women in 2009, that whole first year of the business for me, like still clients to this day, which just goes to show you all you have to do is ask. Like it's something I talk to my daughter now about too. Like she gets nervous, as little kids do, in unknown situations. I'm like, don't talk to strangers, but also it's okay to be outside your comfort zone and be the greatest connector ever, 5-year-old, because that's something that I definitely never had.
So within this rise to real estate, I mean, again, one of the things that I think people take away is you're very outgoing. You always have this drive, and it seems like you're always on the go, right? Did you always have that? Did you attribute that to your childhood? I mean, even coming to New York, starting real estate, introducing yourself at Starbucks, and I barely introduce myself to like 2 people a day. That's pretty outgoing.
I didn't want to be the greatest real estate broker of all time. I wanted to be the most successful person of all time. And why not try, right? Like, why, to be an actor, it's like, I want to be the greatest actor of all time. Why would I ever get up every day to go be okay? Like I didn't, it's kind of like that quote, like I didn't come this far to come this far. Why not at least try to take a bigger swing? And same thing with like this business, man. Like I didn't have to do all this, but if I'm going to take a swing, why not try to go for the grand slam? Why not at least put yourself out there? And then the world will tell you, like the world told me, Ryan, you are not going to be Marlon Brando. It's just not in the cards. But some of the talent that you have is going to sneak up back around in 2010 when you're sitting in front of these reality television producers, because you're going to know how to present yourself in front of a camera. And all of a sudden, you're going to be super lucky. You just ended up having to work really, really hard to make luck easy to find.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, I feel like for every single business, you have that why, right? And I feel like some people's whys change over time, right? As the business grows, as your life changes. For you, when you first started, what was your why? I know you touched on it briefly.
Yeah. I have a why, a wall, right? A win. You kind of have your series of W's there. My why at the beginning was survive in New York City, which is important. And I think the best businesses and the best careers start when your back is up against a wall financially. I honestly, still some part of my why is survive. I just keep putting myself in terribly massive financial situations. I'm like, I gotta go bigger, right? And then I gotta make these people my partners, and I gotta go and do this. Like I remember I was talking to Adrian about this the other day, like during COVID, and COVID hit, and we had, a couple people on our what was Serhant Media Group at the time team, and a couple people on our Salt Lake Serhant team, and it's like, all right, so like, what do I do now? I have people I need to pay, and it was like a couple. I think my payroll right now, is like $2.2 million a month.
Wow.
Like I have to work. Like what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Too many people depend upon me.
Very, very different from the 2.2. When I was in high school, I got my first credit card. And I always thought it was like a game. So I would go and have fun for the month, spend it, and I'd see the credit card bill. I was like, great, it's a game. How am I going to make $2,000 in 30 days? So when I was in high school, I was working at Abercrombie & Fitch, but then I got into drop shipping and kind of sold some stuff. And I remember that excitement, but also like, oh my gosh, like I have to pay off this credit card bill. Really encouraged me to work hard. So you, in your situation, would your advice be to young entrepreneurs, go buy like a Gulfstream and then just make the monthly payments?
Yes. No, you don't want to be stupid, but I think there's another quote I really, really like because it helped me a lot. There's a lot of quotes, but like one is, they never tell you that the feeling of bravery is disguised as fear, because everything is scary. And so whether we started this business this way or every situation I've ever been in, when it's scary, but I know that there's a path and a plan that I can create, the fear I'm feeling right now is just evolution, not yet figuring out how to create the feeling of bravery. Doesn't exist yet, maybe in 1,000 years. And so I think you have to put your back up against a wall if you want to see what you're truly capable of. And I know that's easy to say when you've figured it out, but I mean, I said that to myself when I definitely hadn't figured it out. I was sharing a bathroom with 16 dudes, in Koreatown. My parents wouldn't even come and see my apartment because it would make my mom cry. She was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Like, you burn the boats, like remove the comfort. That's that survival job. If you're going after your dream, but you have a 9 to 5, there's no dream, right? You have a 9 to 5 and you're never going to get to it. And I do credit my, pure ignorance as a big part of what we've done over the past 15 years.
I like that. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that. And again, don't go buy a Gulfstream. It could. I mean, it'd be a fun thing. But I think putting yourself in that position where you can't fail, I think honestly encourages good ideas. Yeah. Gives you that kind of work ethic. I remember
what would you, not to cut you off, but like you I think it's fine to fail. I tell our agents all the time, you got to make that mindset shift so that you don't become an emotional disaster, because sales is way too hard that way. There's no commission. There's no salary in sales, right? There's no benefits. All your friends are going to have their weekends off, and you're going to eventually burn out if you don't switch your mindset to understand that your job is to fail, the bonus is to win. And once you can click that, then it's awesome. Then you don't have Sunday scaries, right? You have Friday scaries because you're stressed out that people won't respond to you over the weekends and that you're not going to get work done, healthy or not. You then also have to ask yourself that question of, what would I even attempt to try to do if I knew failure wasn't an option? If you could predict the future, or if you could go and see yourself and you are on your own private jet 10 years from now, going to your own private island, and you saw that for 5 seconds and came back now, any crazy idea that popped in your head, you'd be like, well, I know I'm going to be fine. So maybe this is the reason I'm going to be fine. I'm just going to go do it. So I like to try to predict my future as much as I possibly can. Like my second book, Big Money Energy, was all about becoming future you and telling your own story. So I know that 70-year-old Ryan is fucking man. Like that guy has figured it out, and he is my boss. That's who I work for. And so every ridiculous idea that I think has a big potential reward at the end of the line, maybe that's the one that makes 70-year-old me awesome.
Yeah.
If it's not, I'll fix it really quick. Try fast, fail fast. That's sort of the way I think about it.
So within your first sale, right? The studio, like 365,000 you said. What was your second and third sale like? And was that all word of mouth, like being a new broker in real estate?
It was a mixture of word of mouth, which takes a long time to build, especially when people are buying and selling homes, because unless you're working with an investor, most people do it every 5 years. So it's not that often.
Yeah.
And especially in 2008, it was the Great Recession. I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that the New York Times said, kill yourself. Like, if you're looking to buy real estate, you're an idiot. You couldn't get a loan. I'd meet a client, they'd find a place they'd want, and then they'd say, Ryan, I'm so sorry, I can't make an offer. I just got fired. Wow. Or my bank just failed. So it was a wild, wild time, just like 2020 was for a hot minute there. My second sale was at the Powerhouse condominium in Long Island City. My third sale was also there. My fourth sale was at the View at East Coast at 4630 Center Boulevard in Queens. And they were just all right there. And then I jumped over. I did a deal at 250 East 49th Street in August of 2009. And those two guys, one was a flight traffic controller, then went and bought an apartment on the 41st floor of 635 West 42nd Street. I could just keep going. But those were like my first deals in 2009 that like gave me the confidence to not quit.
And on this rise, at what point did you get involved with $1 Million Listing?
March of 2010, I went to an open casting call. They put it out there like in the real estate trades. And someone was like, hey, you used to act, right? You should go to this. And I just rolled in. Actually, the cast, we had actually done a little bit of press. I had gotten like a cool thing in Bloomberg where I was like in a suit and tie like this. Because by 2010, I'd gotten onto a building. I was selling a building in Lower Manhattan, the first new construction building ever for me, 442 apartments. And the casting director also saw that and reached out to us. So it was kind of a combination of seeing the thing and then her And then I went and 3,000 real estate agents showed up. Wow. It was just like 20 seconds in front of a camera. Are you the person? And every single person told me not to do it because it's New York City. It's buttoned up. It's serious. Don't do that kind of thing. But 9 months of interviews and castings and, camera stuff later, they cast 4 of us and 3 of us made it.
Wow. Now, being on $1 Million Listing, how did that change your real estate business at that point? I would imagine a bunch of leads coming in from the show from wanting to work with a celebrity real estate agent.
Yeah, I'd say $1 Million Listing changed my life, man. Like I owe my life to the executives at Bravo, to Andy Cohen and Francis Berwick and Sherry Levine and Jen Levy, who then created Sell Like Serhant, who then created Owning Manhattan at Netflix. I owe my life to Jen Levy, who's now in a production company and is just a killer in the streaming world. It changed my life, but not overnight. What it did was there's 50,000 at that time. There was 50,000 real estate agents in New York City. 3 of us had 25 million people watching us every single week sell real estate, right? And so I had a pitch tool that no one else had. So I would go up against Steve or whoever, right? And if they had a personal relationship, probably wasn't going to go to me. But if they didn't, and it was just, hey, we could work with these 4 agents, all of our fees are the same, except I could potentially bring you more exposure, which meant I could put your property in front of more qualified eyeballs than anyone else, which means maybe I could sell it faster. And if you're going to pay a commission anyway, why not sell it to the person who can sell it faster for more money?
Yeah. Who's
also nice, who's also going to work his butt off, who also, works 7 days a week and doesn't have a life, at that time. But yeah, man, it changed my life. It took a time. It took a long time. It didn't come out until March of 2012. But it took a long time.
And after it came out, what was that business like? I mean, because by that point, you obviously haven't started Serhant yet, right?
No, we started the company in 2020. I was a real estate agent, and then I just started growing a team. And so when the show came out in 2012, this was pre-Instagram. Like this was Twitter, Facebook, and it was unique. I got one phone call that turned out to be real. All the other phone calls from people were psychopaths. And what I didn't realize at the time is like most of the time, social is different.
Yeah.
But on TV, no one ever sits down and watches a TV show and says, call that guy. Like, I don't know about you, but like you're not watching the Kardashians and being like, you call Kim right now. Like, I want to buy Skims. No, you don't do that, right? So it took a long time, and it was really me opening doors, using the tool of the exposure to open doors that ordinarily I would never have been able to open. And then the show was a hit and ran for 10 years.
Wow. We have the same problem with our socials since we started posting, and they're all phone calls.
Yeah.
We get about 2,000 phone calls a day. About 1,000 of them want to speak to me. A lot of them are junk. A lot of them are like 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
So we've actually had to hire a team to screen all of the phone calls just from that kind of growth. But I mean, having that flow really established you as one of the top brokers, and I think people
the top, Colin.
The top
Thanks.
broker. So from $1 Million Listing, building your own team, how did you decide I need a team to handle this?
I knew I needed to scale early on. We sell real estate, so I got to be there for the most part. Today, we can do a lot more virtually and over the phone. It's totally changed everything. But in 2012, if I have to sell that apartment, I have to go there and open the door physically. Or I need to have someone with me who's qualified enough, who's licensed, who's not going to screw it up, who can go and open the door and show the place. So I started in Manhattan. I started scaling by geography. I looked at my ability to leverage people. And at that time, you were a single real estate agent, maybe with an assistant, or you had a team of like a couple people because you needed some buyer's agents. I was like, what's to stop me from having the biggest team? Like, is there a law? There's no law. There's no rules. And so I built a team of 65 agents, and they ran the geography of New York City, Queens, and Brooklyn. We had agents in Los Angeles, Miami, and the Hamptons, and just worked with a high net worth client base and just cranked through it while doing all the other fun stuff.
Now, I think that's one of the things that shocked me about you when we got connected is how quickly you responded via text and email. And I feel like a lot of people say on socials, I respond in 2 seconds, but you actually did respond in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, man, I don't around.
Yeah.
Like you gotta move. You gotta respond in real time or let people know. Our agents here, we have a rule. Like you respond in an hour, and if you can't can't work here. Go work somewhere else that doesn't care about that stuff. I just like, otherwise the internet wins. Like the MLS wins, other systems win. The only reason people are going to work with you and I, dude, I even said this to these guys. I was like, I see so much of myself in how you operate based on those emails. Like I didn't have to book a plane through you. Could have done it through, we booked private plane. Like you know, but you were fast. You're on top of it. Your team was all over it. Super, super helpful because it's very complicated to get all the insurances and the location agreements. When Netflix shows up, it's such a pain in the ass. But you guys are like, I got it. You helped, like you paid for something you definitely didn't have to pay for. You didn't even ask. You just took care of it. I'm like, that's exactly the way that we operate. And we're in the service business, you know?
So when you started building your team, 65 people, how do you hire 65 of you? How do you keep the same branding?
I definitely don't hire 65 of me. That was a mistake I made early on. First of all, I think I'm irreplaceable. I think that what I wanted was two types of people as salespeople. Staff is different. One, I want brand horses. Two, I want work horses. I need to have people that'll be there at 6 a.m. on a Saturday in the rain because they're the workhorse, right? They're going to get it done. I also need people that are going to take me into different locations and geographies and demographics that I can't get into, who when that one client calls or I meet that person who's like, I'd really be comfortable working with a woman, or do you do that or that? I have that person. I always have that resident agent ready to go, as well as geography, because real estate is also very, very physical, and you got to be boots on the ground as best you possibly can. And that's how we scaled. And I would have quotas for people. And you know, I built my Serhant team Bible early on. That was like words to win with, protocol. If you want to work on this team, this is how it goes. And we'd hire and fire, you know, as quickly as we can, promote. It's something that I always helped myself to. It's like hire fast, fire faster, promote fastest. You know, it's the gratitude angle on the end is important because you always want to make sure you're putting your best people on your best opportunities and not just your biggest problems, which is also another learning lesson.
You made a comment that you would never hire, and you made the mistake of hiring other yous. Let's dive into that. What was the problem there about hiring you? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs hire someone. Like, for example, when we first started, I was like, great, I think I'm awesome. How can I hire people that think exactly like me? We did it. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your experience was.
Like it's magnets. If you have two magnets facing the same direction, they're just never going to work, right? You want to assemble a NFL team. Like you don't need 7 quarterbacks. You don't need 10 cooks in the kitchen, right? And you need clear decision making. It just is what it is. Like if you want to be the CEO, then be the CEO. Don't be a like it's, you know, and so like my need of having other people that was like me was my thought process of saying, let me surround myself with people who are like me so I can have less conflict, who are going to work just like me. What I end up having is too many people making too many different decisions, and it just doesn't go the way you want it to. So I surround myself with people who honestly are way better than me. Way better at me at what they do specifically. And what I really look for, especially now that we're building this company and we're all in all these places, is I want people who are uniquely qualified to do exactly what I'm bringing them in to do. I don't want somebody who's just vaguely smart. I don't care about your degree. I don't care about your resume of 15 different places. All that shows to me is you can't keep a job, right? I want loyalty to the work product. I want passion for sure. I want no emotion. It's a big difference between passion and emotion. And I want people who are going to elevate our business. Everyone who comes here kind of scares me a little bit. There's no like executive meeting I have where I'm just steamrolling. I'm a little bit scared because I don't have the IP that they do, and that's why they're here. Same thing on the agent side. And it's made it like a much better company than just trying to have all of us wear the same clothes and look the same and be the same. Like you got to challenge yourself if you want to build something that's challenging.
So building Serhant, what was the need for you? I feel like being an entrepreneur is kind of like this way of looking at your industry and saying, you know what, everyone's doing it this way. I feel like I can do it better. So you started Serhant in 2020. How did you get the idea? What was the need for Serhant?
Definitely not the plan. It is so hard. And it's so much work, and it's so expensive, and it's so much pressure, and it's so much stress. it's where like the ignorance comes in. Had I known then what I know now, like my life was fine. Like, I don't know like why I do this. I say that kind of joking. I was selling a lot of real estate. It was 2017. And I was like, okay, the brokerage I'm at can't service my needs anymore. So what are my options? I'm going to go to a different firm or I have to start my own. That definitely sounds terrible because it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And the chances of succeeding are like negative percentages. So it's just never going to work.
Yeah.
So let me just go and I'll interview with all the big name brokerages, the Compasses, the Elements, the Keller Williamses, the EXP, all of them. And they all just sucked, man. Like I just met with all of them. None of them cared. They all were just chasing revenue. It was never about client service. I was just going to be a number. And I asked them all, this was 2017, like Mission 2030. How are you going to help people buy and sell homes? And no one cared. So I blame everyone else for forcing me to do this. Okay. Otherwise, I would have just gone to another company and my life would have been way simpler. I also knew that the face of the salesperson was changing. And I wanted to create a sales enablement platform. And I've always loved technology's ability to empower people versus technology's ability to replace people. If that happens, it's going to happen, and it is what it is. But I think the greatest companies of the next generation are going to be those that use technology, things like artificial intelligence, to empower the workforce versus replace it. If I can have a streamlined, efficient workforce, that doesn't mean we're going to hire less people. It means I'm going to probably have the same amount of people who can do 1,000 times the work product to the betterment probably of like their lives and their compensation. And so the process of helping people buy and sell homes, it's just brutal. It's so manual. It's on 15 different screens and 22 different people are involved, and it's just never changed. Like if anyone's going to change this, I guess I have to do it. And so like begrudgingly, in November of 2019, I sat everyone down, got everyone together. I should not have done this, but I was excited. I'm like, we're going to go on our own. Start a technology company. I'm not going to tell anyone that that's what it is for 4 years. I'm just going to tell people it's a real estate brokerage. We're going to start a production company. We're going to start an education company all at the same time. And we're going to build a flywheel. And we're going to go content to community to commerce with an underlying tech stack. And we're going to be in stealth. People will just focus on the TV. Ryan, and that's we'll feed into the mystery. And then COVID hit and people started getting sick and things were weird and we had to quarantine. And it was awful. Like we lost every deal. The way I was going to pay for everything just like went out the window. It was a total disaster. Until I was like, you know what? When I got into this business, the world came crumbling down. Maybe this is just fate. Starting my own company is world crumbling down phase 2. And so we just leaned into it. And it was the best thing we could have done. Everyone, again, told me, don't do it. Wait. Just wait till the world recuperates. Why would you ever go and start your own company when the world collapses? And then I looked, like, what other things were started when pandemics happened and the world's collapsed? Like Isaac Newton found gravity because of a pandemic, and he was sitting in his house and sitting under a stupid tree, and an apple fell on his tree. Had he not been there, he'd probably be at work, insanity. And so then we just move forward and just stay relentless and stay so busy. You have like the blinders on to all the failures and disasters happening around you all the time. Like that's literally how I operate. Like I just came out of a meeting with our CFO and I saw she had a whole list in front of her. I was like, what are the only main things I need to know? Everything else, you just handle unless we're going to die. Are we going to die? No, we're not going to die. Great. Sounds like this is a you problem. It sounds like this is a you meeting.
So starting a company in the pandemic, having all of these new issues now that you're the CEO, how do you manage that while also being a father? And how do you manage both your work and your life? And do you believe in a work-life balance?
Not really. I don't think I think I'm a great leader. I think I'm a good dad. I think I'm an okay husband.
And how do you navigate that every day? And I guess, like, for example, I see you have one phone. Are you a one phone or a two phone person?
One phone, 6 assistants.
Smart. Now, do you find that having one phone allows you to kind of block? For example, I have 2 phones, and I found that when I used one phone, I would have work always find me on that phone when I was trying to decompress.
I had 2 phones. Dude, my pants are too tight for 2 phones. Like I can't. It was just annoying. So like I have one phone and It's fine. I don't have that many friends. Like, I don't know what kind of personal life maybe you have. Maybe the younger generation has friends. I have 2 friends. I do my weekly report to my dad on Sundays. I have 1 daughter. I do the best I can. I'm the guy in the group chat that doesn't respond. Focus on work. And I don't know. You feel the same way. You're building a company out of Jenga blocks. And if I look away, it could fall. And as you go up the tower, the base that used to be the scariest thing ever is now actually pretty good. It just gets shakier until it gets good. And it gets shakier until it gets good. And I just have a hard time finding productivity in personal moments. Not to mean that I'm not a psychopath. At least I don't think so. But I love working. I love building. I love doing what we do. I love disrupting. I love the craziness. I do Saturdays with my daughter, Dadder
Nice.
So, and we're lucky that in New York, most of our businesses are closed on Saturdays anyway. And so that's Dadder Day. This weekend, I'll take her to Bluey camp and then ice skating and then ballet. That's Saturday. And if she still has energy, we'll probably watch Wicked for the 1500th time. But that's a good movie, so I'm fine with it. Much better than Coco Melon back in the day. That was pure torture. And then, I do the best I can.
That's a lot. Building it, how do you stay sane? How do you center yourself every day?
Do I look like a centered person to you?
You do.
Are you sure? Am I centered? No, they're never going to look up. No, I'm not.
Do you have a strict morning routine that you do every day that keeps you centered?
Yeah, of course.
To win every single day.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a creature of habit. But definitely 6 days a week, I wake up at 4:30. I go to the gym. I work out. I take care of the things I can control.
Yeah.
I don't worry about the things I can't control anymore. Anyway, it's just not healthy. I have a super tight calendar. I follow the calendar. I have a very strict process in which I have updates on the businesses. I have different presidents, and we have all of our reports. And I just believe very strongly in big goal setting, not negotiating with those goals, and having clear systems and processes that enable us to get to those goals. And then we hit or exceed and then reset. Everything we do that seems random is incredibly calculated for the most part. And then you want to try to leave as much room for spontaneity as you can for moments. And
so before we wrap up here, looking at 2025, what are the top goals that you're setting for Serhant?
World domination.
Good.
Collab with Colin from AMALFI Jets.
There we go.
I'd like to sell the most. Our goals are on the brokerage side. We're going to open up a lot more markets. We're in the process of doing that right now. It's insane. I want to cross $5 billion in sales this year. I want to there's a certain agent count I want to get to. There's certain usage metrics I want to get to. We'll roll out Simple outside of our company into other industries this year, which would be totally insane and crazy. We just closed our first fundraising round of all time ever in December. So we'll see what we do with that.
Amazing. Well, before we wrap up, I give every one of our podcasts gift. Again, I'm very excited for your gift.
Oh, is it one of your vests? Oh, it's Canada. Oh, nice.
It is a Canada Goose X AMALFI Jets puffer vest.
Sweet.
It is a one of one. You're the only person that has one.
I don't believe that.
That is true. Because when we made it, I looked at Margo and said, can we get another one? Because that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much. That's super cool.
And then we have one more.
Let me see. Oh!
That is the AMALFI One private jet card membership. There's $5,000 located on that, and it gives you access to 3,500 airplanes across 170 countries. And it's heavier than every single American Express, Centurion, and JP Morgan Reserve Platinum card.
I'm fully paid for Tuesday though, right?
Yes,
okay.
You are.
Oh, sure.
Perfect. That
Otherwise,
can be used for Wednesday.
Yeah, for Wednesday. Okay, perfect. Thanks, man.
Awesome, right. Well, thank you again for coming on the Billion Hour Podcast. It's a pleasure. Thank you for letting us borrow your amazing space. Yeah. And we look forward to sharing this with the world.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.